We want to get you now to a press conference in Pasco County, Florida, where officials have just confirmed that former Major League Baseball pitcher Roy Halladay has died in a plane crash. Let's listen in.
You know, I can tell you, he was one in a million. It is a true loss for us. I have no doubt he is looking down with God up in heaven, because his heart was a heart of gold. He was an unbelievable human being. I'm blessed. I know our sheriff's office is blessed for knowing him. I've already gotten calls. Some of our members, they're trying to get down here as quick as possible because, as I said, he was a personal friend of our sheriff's office. And so right now, I said, we're going to be working with his family to provide any assistance we can. From the investigative standpoint, it's NTSB. So any questions, any updates will be coming from them. Like I say, it's a sad day for us here in Pasco County. It's a sad day for Tampa Bay. It's a sad day for anybody who loves Major League Baseball, but it's even sadder day for the family. And I ask that you respect his family. I ask that nobody go to his home. Please give them time to grieve. They deserve that. And on behalf of the family, I would just say, please pray for them. So with that, is there any questions?
When did you know he was the person on board and he was the person who was killed?
Actually, I had gotten, when I was driving out to Wesley Chapel, we got information it was a plane crash. And, you know, that's all we had. And it's, you know, unfortunately, it's not unusual we get information because there's several flight patterns that come down here. As we were in a meeting with pastors this afternoon discussing security plans for the week ahead, I was pulled out. They said the plane had gone down. The tail number goes back to Roy's plane. And, you know, at that moment, your heart sinks. You start praying, and we started coming back this way because, you know, we were praying for the best that, you know, it could be a search and rescue, and we were just going to be taking him to the hospital, and something happened, and the worst case scenario happened, and it just breaks our hearts. We have some information, but I don't want to put anything out there because I can't confirm it. And that really goes back to NTSB. They're the real investigative portion with the plane, with the flight patterns. I can tell you where we're speculating where he came from, where the information from people are telling us he came out of. But if I give you that information, it probably could be wrong. It may be wrong, and I don't want to provide any false information out there.
Sheriff, the plane was
It was by the plane.
Do you have any reports of engine trouble? Did anyone hear anything? Did anyone see anything right before the crash?
There are witnesses that saw stuff, but as I said, all that information is going to go to NTSB. The Pasco Sheriff's Office is not involved in the crash investigation, so I don't want to put anything out there that NTSB wouldn't want us to release.
Can you say anything about that 911 call that came in and whether that included any additional information about what was
I don't have any information. I apologize on the 911 call. All I know is that we got a call that came in that a plane had crashed by the power plant.
When it comes to the scene, can you describe what first responders saw when they arrived there?
Yeah, I could just tell you is that when the Maritime and Marine Unit went out there, they were basically out there as the plane is down. They could see the tail number. There is some debris. Some of the debris due to the tide has shifted a little bit. So that's why we're working with NTSB with the forensics piece of this investigation. As to that, our dive team was immediately going into the water as quick as they could because it is, from our standpoint, it was a rescue mission. It was somebody goes down, it's a shallow water. As we know, this is kind of on the flight pattern where people are getting lower. So I can imagine from our perspective, the deputies who were first arriving out there, they were hoping that the plane was low enough that somebody could have ditched it and got out.
You said that there was some debris found. Did the plane appear to have stayed intact, or was there a lot of parts floating around?
The plane is pretty much in solid condition. However, there is debris. There are pieces of the plane that have floated away, and yes, due to the tide and the shifts, we're working right now to retrieve some of that for NTSB.
Did you recover any kind of recordings, emergency recordings?
No, ma'am. No recordings. Nothing has been taken yet.
Can you tell us, is the plane going to be removed from the water today? And where does it go? What happens with the plane? Kind of what's happening over the next few hours?
Yeah, in the next few hours, right now, NTSB is en route. They're coming to handle the investigation. We're assisting them. So we're now in contact with them. Anything they need, we're providing for them. As of right now, we're recovering we've been told to recover some of the debris that has shifted off. Our maritime unit is going to be sitting there guarding the boat. The other thing, the message out there is to any citizens out there, please, this is not something to go out there and be an onlooker about. have respect for the family, have respect for the deceased. Just stay away from the area. There's nothing you're going to see out there that you're not going to be able to see later on through the investigation. But yeah, our maritime unit will be out there patrolling and protecting that crime scene.
And you mentioned that Mr. Halladay comes from a long line of aviation fanatics, people who love to fly. Can you say anything about how experienced he is?
I don't know how long of a history the family has had. I just know there are people in his family that fly because that's where he got it from. He loved to fly. He would talk about flying. He'd talk about refurbishing planes. He talked about how he grew up doing it. So, you know, I tell you, he was passionate. He talked about his family. He talked about baseball, and he talked about flying. But like I say, it goes back to it. He is one of the nicest human beings. I know a lot of time people talk about sports athletes, and you hear about egos or about, you know, worrying about money and cars. That was not Roy. Roy was the most down-to-earth person. If you had dropped something, Roy would be the first one to help bend down and pick it up. If you were in need, Roy would be the first one to say, hey, how can I help you? Except for the fact he was 6'6", you would have never guessed this guy was a professional athlete by the way he talked, by the way he spoke. He was the definition of a true, humble human being, and he defined what the word Christian is.
Was it your deputies who contacted his family, and if you had any direct contact with his family at this point?
I left a voicemail with one of his family members. I can understand. Look, we get it. Roy was a very popular person. You're probably getting, as a media standpoint, a lot of people giving you information. There are people that we understand who were around here at the time, believe that they're making statements that they saw Roy's plane. There's a lot of people that were contacting a lot of other people. So I can say, you know, that whole thing with the word getting out there, word got out there. We were trying to ensure that whatever word was getting out there was the true word. Because that's the hard part, is a lot of people will speculate and say things that aren't true, but information keeps getting passed out there. So, you know, we're working with local law enforcement and other jurisdictions to ensure the safety of the family and the security and the privacy of the family. At the same time, we're part of the process. Our victim advocates have been out there. Our detectives will be talking to the family, because I get it. Like you, they have questions, and they have a lot more questions, and they deserve to hear the answers first.
Do you know specifically his history in the county and what he's contributed? Is there kind of like a bullet list of, you know, his involvement?
I could tell you, we got Canine Doc from him. I honestly, here's the true estimate of true being of Roy. You wouldn't know what Roy did, because Roy would never tell you what he did. And that's the legacy of a great man. All right, well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to recap, we have been listening to a press conference with Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nocco in Florida. He was explaining that former Major League Baseball pitcher Roy Halladay has died in a plane crash. The sheriff said Halladay's plane went down about noon today near Holiday, Florida. When he said when first responders arrived, they found Halladay's body, but no survivors. Halladay won the Cy Young Award twice. He played for the Toronto Blue Jays and the Philadelphia Phillies. Halladay also pitched a perfect game in 2010, as well as multiple no-hitters throughout his career. Halladay retired from the game in 2013. Roy Halladay was 40 years old.